In the midst of the Cold War, a single sentence changed the trajectory of history. We choose to go to the moon. It was not just a political declaration. It was a defiance of impossibility. Towering over the Florida coastline, it stood like a monument to human ambition. Saturn V, the most powerful machine ever built by mankind. 363 feet tall, 6.5 million pounds of controlled fury, fueled by science and resolve. It wasn't just a rocket. It was a titan born from decades of failures and triumphs. Engineers obsessed over every bolt, valve, and weld. Every stage was a masterpiece of controlled destruction, designed to escape the pull of Earth. The astronauts would ride this thunderous beast not just into orbit, but toward history. As dawn broke on July 16, 1969, Saturn V stood poised on pad 39A, silent but alive. In a few short moments, it would awaken and carry 3 men into the void. July 16, 1969, 9:32 a.m. Eastern Time. A moment that split history in two. At T-0, the Saturn V roared to life with a fury unmatched. The ground trembled, the sky ignited. 7.5 million pounds of thrust pushed against gravity's grip, lifting humanity's hopes into the heavens. For the first 12 seconds, it seemed to rise in slow motion, an elegant leviathan defying the Earth. Apollo 11 climbed steadily, arcing eastward over the Atlantic, accelerating toward low Earth orbit. Within minutes, stage after stage separated in flawless succession, leaving behind thunder and flame. The capsule now coasted silently above the clouds. The Earth below, shrinking. The moon ahead, waiting. Beyond Earth's cradle lies silence, infinite and absolute. After achieving orbit, Apollo 11 ignited its third stage engine once more, escaping Earth's grasp and beginning its journey to the moon. The crew, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins, entered the vast black sea of space aboard the Columbia Command Module, towing the lunar module, Eagle, behind them. They were now farther from Earth than any human beings had ever been. Outside the windows, the stars did not twinkle. They burned cold and still. Each system, each maneuver, had to be perfect. Mid-course corrections were executed with surgical precision. Every heartbeat, every word, every silence was a thread in the fabric of a flawless transit. For 3 days, they glided across the void, carried not just by technology, but by the will of an entire species. And then a pale gray orb began to rise in the blackness, the moon. As Apollo 11 approached its target, the moon revealed itself not as a glowing disk in the sky, but as a vast, desolate world, ancient and scarred. On July 19th, the spacecraft slowed and slipped into lunar orbit, falling into the moon's quiet gravity. Earth was now a distant sphere, suspended in darkness. Beneath them, the surface passed in silence. Mountains sharp as blades, craters like forgotten scars, and plains where no wind had ever blown. For Michael Collins, orbiting alone in Columbia, it would become the loneliest place any human had ever known. Meanwhile, Armstrong and Aldrin prepared to enter the lunar module, Eagle. Inside a capsule no larger than a small room, they rehearsed, rechecked, and readied themselves. The next maneuver would be the most dangerous of all: separation. The Eagle would detach and descend into a place where no man had ever walked. July 20th, 1969. In the vacuum above the moon, the Eagle undocked from Columbia. Armstrong and Aldrin were now alone, suspended in a fragile craft over an alien world. As they began their descent, the surface rushed up with unsettling speed, a terrain both beautiful and unforgiving. The onboard computer flashed warnings. The landing zone was scattered with boulders. Armstrong took manual control. The lunar module drifted sideways, fuel dwindling fast. At just 100 feet above the surface, he found a patch of level ground. Dust erupted in slow motion as the descent engine burned toward final contact. Then, at 2017 UTC, contact light. The Eagle had landed. A silence followed, broken only by heartbeats and the hum of the cabin. Mankind now had a presence on another world. The hatch opened. A ladder extended into silence, into dust untouched by time. Neil Armstrong climbed down slowly, methodically. Every motion practiced, yet momentous. At the final rung, he paused. Then, with a cautious step, he pressed his boot into the fine lunar soil. For the first time in all of human history, a being stood on the surface of another celestial body. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. The words echoed through Earth's radios, televisions, and hearts. Millions watched in awe. Children remembered where they were. In the cold silence of the moon, a fragile footprint was left, a symbol of what humanity could achieve when united by wonder. Moments later, Buzz Aldrin joined him, calling the surface magnificent desolation. The lunar surface, once distant and unknowable, now bore witness to human presence. For 2.5 hours, Armstrong and Aldrin moved across the lunar surface, careful, deliberate, and filled with purpose. Every motion was history in motion. They planted the American flag, not as a claim of conquest, but as a testament to human achievement. They deployed scientific instruments, a seismometer to listen for moonquakes, a retroreflector to bounce lasers from Earth. They gathered rocks, ancient fragments of the moon's story. Their suits bore the dust of another world, a fine powder that clung to every seam. The horizon curved sharply. There were no trees, no wind, just silence and sunlight. In their helmet reflections, the lunar module stood alone. Time moved differently on the moon. Each minute felt eternal. But the mission clock kept ticking. Soon, it would be time to leave. The surface of the moon began to fade into the distance as Armstrong and Aldrin climbed back into Eagle. Their time in Tranquility Base had been brief, but the echoes of their footsteps would resonate forever. The ascent stage of the lunar module ignited, lifting them off the moon's surface, leaving behind only the silent footprints of history. Above, the Earth was but a distant sphere. As they soared back into lunar orbit, the moon's barren landscape slowly gave way to the vastness of space. Michael Collins, in the command module Columbia, watched the lunar module's ascent. The trio was reunited, but the journey was not over. The next challenge would be to return home, to cross the void once more, and re-enter the atmosphere, where heat and speed would test their endurance. For now, however, the stars outside their windows were serene, as if offering their approval. Apollo 11 had completed its lunar journey, but the final steps lay ahead. Re-entry and the splashdown back to Earth. With the crew reunited, Apollo 11 set course for Earth. The moon, a pale memory in the rearview mirror, began to shrink, swallowed once again by the vastness of space. The journey home was long, but the hardest part lay ahead. On July 24th, the Apollo 11 spacecraft fired its engines to begin the return to Earth's atmosphere. As they approached the planet, the heat shield grew incandescent. The atmosphere, thick and fiery, would soon meet the capsule with the force of 1,000 thunderstorms. Inside, the astronauts were silent. Every second, every breath was a calculation. The descent was a test of human engineering and willpower, a race against time, gravity, and the forces of nature. At 12:50 p.m. UTC, the capsule hit the dense atmosphere, slowing rapidly. Parachutes deployed, and the capsule dropped gently into the Pacific Ocean. The long journey was over. The crew was safe. Apollo 11 had fulfilled its mission. It had made the impossible real. As the Apollo 11 capsule bobbed gently in the Pacific Ocean, the astronauts knew they had made history. Rescue teams, waiting just beyond the horizon, rushed toward the capsule, their helicopters slicing through the air. Within moments, the capsule was hoisted aboard the recovery ship, the USS Hornet. Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins emerged, disoriented but triumphant, their faces beaming with the quiet joy of accomplishment. They were immediately quarantined, a precautionary measure to protect against any potential lunar contamination. But the world was already celebrating. Crowds gathered, television screens lit up, and radio broadcasts reverberated across the globe. The astronauts became instant heroes, icons of human potential, symbols of courage and exploration. In the days that followed, parades were held, and the crew toured the world. Their achievement was celebrated not just by America, but by all of humanity. The moon had become a shared milestone, a dream fulfilled for everyone, everywhere. Yet, even as the applause rang out, the astronauts knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning. Apollo 11 had taken humanity to the moon. The journey to the stars had just begun. The ripples of Apollo 11 spread across the world. It was not just an American achievement, but a triumph of human determination, vision, and collective will. In the years that followed, the legacy of Apollo 11 inspired new generations of dreamers, engineers, and explorers. The space race had spurred technological advances, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Satellites, scientific breakthroughs, and advances in computing all flowed from the monumental effort of reaching the moon. The moon landing united nations in a shared goal to push the limits of exploration, to seek knowledge beyond the known, and to remind humanity of its boundless potential. Schools taught of the Eagle's descent, and children aspired to walk on distant worlds. But Apollo 11 was more than just a moment in time. It was a reminder that the stars, once thought to be out of reach, were within grasp. It was a spark, igniting a new era of space exploration, of partnerships, and of possibilities. And though humanity has yet to return to the moon on a permanent basis, the echoes of Apollo 11 remain as a beacon, guiding the way toward Mars, the asteroids, and beyond. Apollo 11 proved that with ambition, cooperation, and courage, even the most audacious dreams could become reality. The moon was no longer a distant object in the sky, but a world we had touched. And that touch, though brief, forever changed the course of human history.